Georgia has many paranormal places including the Ellis Hotel, located on Peachtree Street in downtown Atlanta. It was the location of one of Atlanta's biggest fires, so bad that it was dubbed the Titanic on Peachtree. The hotel welcomed 260 guests for the weekend in December 1946. A fire broke out on the 8th floor of the 15-story building, but firemen were only able to reach the 8th floor. The fire claimed the lives of 119 people. Since then, guests have described strange paranormal incidents, such as items suddenly missing, or objects moving around in their rooms, despite the fact that the hotel was rebuilt in 1950. Voices, particularly the screams of women and children, can be heard running down a hallway, often frightening guests. For 2 weeks, the fire alarm was said to have sounded every night at 2:48 a.m., the exact moment of the fire in 1946. The Hayes House. For its unusual architectural style, the Hay House, an 18,000 square foot home in Macon, was designated a National Historical Landmark in 1974. Even more remarkable is the fact that just 2 families have resided at the house since it was built in 1855. Over the years, visitors to the museum have claimed hearing strange noises, seeing entities, and seeing inanimate things move unexpectedly. An apparition of an elderly woman in a mid-1800s dress has been seen in the hallways. The Sorrel Weed House. Located in Madison Square, one of Savannah's most historic areas is the Sorrel Weed House. 2 suicides occurred in this house, one by Francis Sorrel's wife Matilda, and the other by his mistress named Molly. Some even claim that Molly was slain to keep the affair hidden in letters and journals. People claim to see dark apparitions, and the lady in white. Some claim the ghosts of both Molly and Matilda still haunt the house to this day. Visitors have reported feeling choked to death, and experiencing a negative energy in the residence. Central State Hospital. Located in Milledgeville, it was the largest mental health institution in the United States. There are over 25,000 patients buried on the 2,000-acre site, many in unmarked graves. It officially opened in 1842, as the Georgia Lunatic Asylum. Many people claim to have witnessed strange phenomena when visiting the grounds, such as an uneasy feeling, hearing moaning sounds and footsteps behind them in empty buildings. But very few can match the paranormal encounters of the Bonaventure Cemetery, located in Savannah. With its many statues and moss-covered trees, many have said it has an eerie feel, but others have said it has a peaceful and calming effect. The site was first used as a hospital by French troops, attempting to retake Savannah from the British. Harriet Tatnall Jr.'s wife was the first adult to be buried on the grounds in 1802, alongside of her 4 children. In 1846, Peter Wiltberger purchased a portion of the land. In 1868, the Evergreen Cemetery was established on 70 acres. The city of Savannah purchased the cemetery in 1907 and renamed it Bonaventure Cemetery. Many famous people, including Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Conrad Aiken and Academy Award-winning songwriter Johnny Mercer, are buried there. There is also reason to believe that some people were mistakenly buried alive. It is also common to see grave markers in the shape of a small cradle, indicating the grave of a child. The mortality rate in the 1800s was significantly higher than it is today. Only about half of all children made it to their 5th birthday. One of the most unusual and paranormal spots in the cemetery is the burial site of Little Gracie. Hers is one of the most frequently visited places in Bonaventure Cemetery. For almost a century, visitors to the cemetery have been enthralled by her story. The wrought iron fence encircling her grave plot is frequently adorned with small presents, left by those moved by Little Gracie's story. She died when she was young, and was left alone in Savannah after her death. W.J. and Frances Watson gave birth to Gracie Watson in 1883. The Watsons were from Boston, Massachusetts. After W.J. was hired to run the Pulaski Hotel, they made their way to Savannah. His daughter, Gracie Watson, became quite the center of attention while working at the hotel. Almost every guest to the Pulaski Hotel was warmed by this bright-eyed girl, who brought smiles to their faces. She was rumored to put on small shows for the guests, including dancing in the lobby and singing songs. just 2 days before Easter in 1889. She passed away with a pneumonia. Her parents' hearts had been broken beyond repair. Following Gracie's death, her father sank into a severe depression. She was laid to rest in Bonaventure Cemeteries and the Watson family plot. Gracie's father had artist John Waltz sculpt a memorial to his beautiful little girl, as a tribute to her. Waltz constructed the monument, that now lies on little Gracie's grave location at the cemetery, using a photograph as a guide. It's believed to be life-size and an exact replica of little Gracie. Little Gracie Watson's spirit seemed to be alive and well. Many people have claimed to have seen the ghost of a young girl playing in Johnson Square, the site of the Pulaski Hotel. Some witnesses claim that the ghost was a real girl in a gorgeous white outfit, running around the square like any other youngster would, until she vanished into thin air. Locals say that if you remove one of the playthings left for her, then the statue of Gracie will start to cry tears of blood. Others have claimed to still be able to hear her laughing. Bonaventure officials have fenced off Gracie's grave to protect it from visitors, but some claim the fence is meant to contain Gracie's playful spirit. Another sad story is that of Corinne Elliot Lawton, and she is the subject of one of the most controversial of the Bonaventure stories. In 1877, Corinne met and fell in love with a man who was below her station in society. Corinne's parents were adamant about her not marrying someone from across the tracks, so they arranged for her to marry a wealthy member of Savannah society. She informed her parents she could never love the man her parents wanted her to marry after meeting him, to which her father firmly replied, "You will learn to love him, or you will learn your station." After some time had passed, all of the wedding preparations had been completed: the gown, the church, the bridesmaids, the best man, and the flower arrangements. She had unfortunately given up and had lost all hope. Despondent and distraught, she rode her father's best horse to the banks of the Savannah River, jumped in, and drowned herself, in a final act of defiance the day before the wedding. Angry and devastated, her parents had Corinne buried outside the family plot, and then commissioned artist Benedetto Civiletti of Palermo, Sicily, to make a statue for her. She is shown seated beside a cross, dressed in a long gown with one shoulder uncovered. Her eyes have no pupils, a garland has slipped from her grip, and she appears as sad and lost as she did in life. Many people also believe that the statue built in her honor wears shoes, implying that Corinne is not walking with Jesus. It is said she often is seen walking through the cemetery at night, always walking on the outside of the family plot, never on the inside. Hal Hounds. Bonaventure Cemetery is also said to be home to a group of Hal Hounds, who bark and snarl at visitors. A Hal Hound is a monstrous dog, leashed to the spiritual world. They can often be found guarding the entryways to the afterlife. The dogs have never been seen, but some tourists claim to have felt their breath on their heels or heard fierce barking in the distance. One of the most disturbing things about Bonaventure Cemetery is the ghost children. Visitors have reported hearing the voices and laughter of children and crying babies. The cemetery rose to prominence after it was featured in John Barrett's novel, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, published in 1994, and the film adaptation directed by Clint Eastwood. The true story's main plot is centered around the killing of Danny Hansford, by respected antiques dealer Jim Williams, who also happened to be his boss. This led to 4 murder trials, the 4th of which ended in an acquittal. Williams died unexpectedly in his home on January 14, 1990, 8 months after his acquittal, from pneumonia and heart failure at the age of 59. Doug Sale, one of Williams' employees, discovered him when he let himself in, after receiving no response at the front door. Williams is said to have passed away in his study, near the spot where Hansford was shot. Jack Lee's cover photo for the best-selling novel used a striking sculpture of a young girl, the Bird Girl, that had remained in the graveyard for almost 50 years, largely undetected. The sculpture was removed from the cemetery in 1997, after the publication of the book, and was shown at Telfair Museums in Savannah. The statue was relocated to the Telfair Museum's Jepson Center for the Arts, on West York Street in late 2014. So what do you think of the Bonaventure Cemetery? Let us know in the comments below, and as always please like and subscribe.